So, after the last chapter on database design, we finally move to an area which is directly related to the Java EE specs. We will be discussing JPA, that is Java Persistence API. So basically for all your persistence needs, or basically for any kind of database interactions, we'll be using JPA. Here are some of the persistent solutions offered by Java. The first one is JDBC, that is Java Database Connectivity. I guess most of you must have used JDBC at some point of time. It's a programming API through which SQL statements are fired. Now the older versions of Java Enterprise Edition, that is before Java EE5, when Java EE was known as J2EE, offered enterprise beans as a persistent solution. Now entity beans were not only over-engineered and difficult to use, but they lacked severe functionality which JPA provides now. Now JDO, which stands for Java Data Objects, never had its day in the limelight. It was just overtaken by JPA. Now, seeing the success of open source persistent solutions like Hibernate and some commercial persistent solutions like Toppling, Sun finally came up with JPA specs. Now JPA is a simple, a completely non-intrusive and POJO based solution. POJO stands for plain old Java objects. What this means is we do not have to implement any container specific interfaces. All we code is plain old Java objects. And as mentioned before, JPA is inspired by products like Hibernate and Toppling. Now let's understand the structure of a basic JavaEE application. So over here, the service layer or the business layer comprises of EJB. EJB stands for Enterprise Java Beans, and there is a chapter on EJB later on. So all the business operations are channeled via this layer. So business operations like sending mails or maybe interacting with the database or sending messages to messaging queues, all these operations are performed by this layer. So whenever the service layer, that is the EJB layer, wants to interact with the database, we go via the JPA layer. So JPA acts as a cover over your database. Now this layer over here, the web layer, acts as a front end for your application. So the browser interacts with this layer. Technologies like JSF, JSP and servlets can be used over this layer. We are going to focus on JSF2 in this tutorial. So the client or the browser will interact with this layer. This layer will use the service layer for business operations, and the business layer will use JPA for interacting with the database. Now, JPA, even though part of Java EE framework, can be used even in Java desktop applications. Web layer, which comprises of JSP, JSF, servlets, is packaged in a WAR file. The EJB layer, that is a service layer or business layer, is packaged in a EJB jar file. Usually the JPA entities are packaged along with the EJB in the EJB jar file. However, you are not required to put the JPA entities directly with the EJB jar file. You can create an independent jar file comprising of the JPA entities and put this jar file on the class path of the EJB jar file. Now this WAR file and the jar file can be bundled together in a ER file. ER stands for Enterprise Archive.